Hello everyone and welcome back to JoJo's Homemaker and Lifestyle. Or if you're new here, I'm Joanne and today's vlog is a bit of a special one because I'm answering your questions. After my recent cruising video I did just over a week ago, I received some lovely comments and questions about things like rough seas, seasickness, Norovirus, hygiene on ships, medical care on board, visa requirements for ports, and which cruises are best for first timers. So I thought rather than replying briefly in the comments, I'd make a proper Q&A video to give you my honest answers based on my own cruising experience. But I do just need to mention all of my cruises so far I've only been with P&O, so that's the experience I'm speaking from. If you're thinking about trying a cruise for the first time, or if you're just curious about what it's really like, I hope this video helps you. So let's get straight into your questions. Seasickness and rough seas, my honest experience. One of the most common questions I get about cruising is, do you feel the ship moving? And do you ever get seasick? In all the cruises I've done, I've only really felt noticeable movement once. And that was on a cruise around the Canary Islands in the Atlantic Ocean. The sea was a little rough and at times it felt slightly wobbly, but it honestly didn't affect me much at all. How often does this happen? In my experience, not very often at all. Most of the time the sea is calm and the ships are so large and well designed that you hardly notice any movement. Of course, it does depend on where in the world you are sailing and the weather at the time. Some seas are just naturally calmer than others. The size of the ship can make a difference. Generally, smaller ships, the more movement you feel. The larger the ships, the less movement. But ships are designed to feel stable, and where your cabin is located also matters. Midship cabins feel the least movement, which is always why we choose to stay there. Some people are also naturally more susceptible to travel sickness in general, whether that's cars, planes or boats, so everyone's experience can be different. If you are worried, there are plenty of options to help. You can take anti-sickness tablets, wear sea bands, or even get medication from your GP before you travel. Cruise ships also do have medical centres on board if you ever need help. Modern cruise ships are designed to reduce movement as much as possible, but occasionally nature has other ideas. It's a bit like turbulence on a plane, except you're on the sea. Overall though, in my personal experience, rough seas are rare, and cruising remains one of the most relaxing ways to travel, in my opinion. Norovirus, hygiene and medical care on cruises. Does Norovirus happen on cruises? This is another question that comes up a lot, and it's understandable because years ago you used to hear some real horror stories. The honest answer is yes, Norovirus can still happen on cruises occasionally, but it is absolutely not like it used to be. Cruise companies now have very strict hygiene procedures in place and they take it extremely seriously. Hand washing is actively encouraged before entering restaurants, and there are antibacterial hand gel stations all over the ship. Staff are constantly cleaning public areas, handrails, lifts and door handles throughout the day. Because of these measures, outbreaks are much rarer now than they ever were in the past. I personally have never experienced Norovirus on any cruise I've ever been on. How do ships handle hygiene? Cruise ships today are very well equipped when it comes to hygiene. As I mentioned previously, there are antibacterial stations everywhere, and you'll often see crew reminding guests to use them before meals. Dining areas are carefully managed and cleaning is continuous throughout the ship, day and night. If anyone does become unwell, there are clear procedures in place to isolate cabins if needed and to prevent further spread. So, while the idea of illness on a ship can sound worrying, in reality, the hygiene standards on modern cruise ships are extremely high. Is there a doctor on board? Yes, cruise ships have medical centres on board with qualified doctors and nurses available at all times. The medical centres are very well equipped and can handle most common health issues. If you ever do need medical help during a cruise, you simply contact reception and they arrange everything for you. It's reassuring to know that professional medical care is always available if needed. Cruise, visas and first-timer tips. What is the visa situation for cruise ports? I can only speak from my own experience, as cruising in the Caribbean is the only place I've travelled where a visa has been needed. As a UK citizen, for most Caribbean ports, you don't need to arrange a visa in advance. Immigration is handled very smoothly. For example, when arriving in Barbados, you receive an entry visa on arrival in the terminal before embarkation. It's very straightforward, quick and organised by the cruise line. When leaving Barbados, your exit visa is processed on board the ship, again in a very simple and guided way. In my experience, the cruise line makes the whole visa and immigration process very easy, and you're guided through everything step by step. If you're cruising in another part of the world, visa rules can be different and may vary, so it's always best to check out official government travel advice or your cruise line before you travel. What should a first-time cruiser know? If you're thinking about taking your first cruise, my biggest piece of advice to you is not to overthink it. Cruising is actually a very simple way to travel because so much is organised for you. Your accommodation, food, entertainment and transport between destinations are all taken care of. One thing I'd recommend though is to choose a cabin location very carefully. Midship cabins tend to feel the least movement, which can help if you're worried about seasickness. It's also worth downloading the cruise line's app before you travel. That's where you'll find daily schedules, restaurant bookings, theatre shows and excursion information. And finally, just take your time and enjoy it. You don't have to do everything. Some days you want to explore ports and other days you might just want to relax on the ship, and both are perfectly fine, whatever suits you. Thank you so much for watching this cruise Q&A video. I really enjoyed answering your questions and I really hope it's helped if you're thinking about trying a cruise yourself. If there is anything I've mentioned today that you'd like me to go into more detail about, or if there's something I haven't covered yet that you'd like to know, please again leave me a comment below and I'll happily cover it in another vlog. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really does help my channel. And if you enjoy cozy vlogs about cruising, homemaking, baking and gentle day-to-day life, I'd really appreciate it and love it if you'd consider subscribing. Thank you so much for being here and I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks so much. See you soon. Bye bye.